vote for MVP today was asked about winning another one. Here's Aaron Rodgers.
Well, Bill, there's not many guys that have won 3, so that would definitely mean a lot. I feel like I've been in the conversation, a number of years outside of the 2 that I've won. We're talking about in 12 when AP went nuts against us in the last game of the year. I had a pretty good year that year. Obviously, in 16, we made our run and led the league in passing touchdowns. Didn't really get a sniff for some reason that year, but I definitely felt like I was in the conversation. It's nice to be back in the conversation. It'd be something that's usually on the preseason goal list, and it's nice to be in the conversation.
No, I'm not even going to go there. It's fine. I would vote for him. Enough said. Anyway, very LeBron. Okay, so if I was a quarterback, and you could tell me going in, because I read a lot about history. I watch the History Channel. I like looking back at some things in football and what works and what data and analytics and where are sports going and where have they been and what's working, what's evolving and what's not working. If I was a quarterback and I wanted to play in the NFL, I would not want to win a Heisman, and I would not want to be an MVP at quarterback. Why? Well, let's talk numbers. Last 20 years, no NFL quarterback who won MVP won the Super Bowl. Last to do it was Kurt Warner in 99. There's a reason for it, by the way. There's a reason for it. And oh, by the way, the best quarterback in the NFL that's ever won a Heisman was Roger Staubach in 1963 at Navy. These are not coincidences. Why did Kurt Warner win the MVP? Why don't MVPs at quarterback, you know the answer to this, why don't they win Super Bowls? It seems so linear. Best quarterback, best year, Super Bowl. Because it tells you, A, you're probably in some shootouts and your defense isn't as good as you wish. And secondly, you're too quarterback reliant. You should run the football more. Russell Wilson is better with a running game. So is Aaron Rodgers. So if you're piling up stats, this is one of the things I've said about Mahomes. We're in awe of his talent. But last year, his passer rating, I forget if it was 12th or 18th in the NFL. He doesn't lead the NFL in pass attempts. You don't want your team to have a quarterback throwing 45 touchdowns. You're too quarterback reliant. You should lead games in the second half, run the ball, eat the clock. Now, if you have a running back that leads the NFL in rushing, it tells me you've got leads in games and you're trying to eat the clock. Similarly to the Heisman. I don't want to win the Heisman. Why? Roger Staubach, last great NFL quarterback, won the Heisman. Why? Because if you're winning the Heisman, it means you're at a kind of offensive-leaning program that probably runs a kind of a quirky college offense or a very collegiate offense. So transitioning to the NFL from that is harder. And it also tells me you probably play at a school with 5-star and 4-star offensive linemen and 4- and 5-star tight ends and wide receivers. So the talent gap you're playing with in college is not anything close to the kind of talent gap in the NFL where you're going to a bad team. Right? You're going to go from Joe Burrow and LSU, huge talent gap, to Cincinnati, arguably first or second worst roster in the NFL. So if you go look at the last 8 to 9 Super Bowl quarterbacks, where they went to school, the matchup in the Super Bowl. Last year was Texas Tech against Eastern Illinois. In the last 10 years, we've had a Delaware against Nevada, a Cal against the Miami of Ohio, a Purdue against Tennessee, a backup quarter at Michigan against Cal, a Michigan against Boston College, a Wisconsin, Michigan, an NC State, Tennessee. And by the way, Tennessee is no longer a great program. It's a mess. The point being, you'd think it would be Bama against Ohio State. Boston College has had multiple quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. USC's never had one. And USC's had more players drafted in the NFL than any school in history, including Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma. So the point being is, if you knew now you wanted to win Super Bowls, this isn't baseball. We don't care about stats. We care about winning Super Bowls, right? You would not want to win the Heisman. It means your college experience, you went to a place with dominating players in a crazy offense, and the transition to the NFL is very difficult from that. And you wouldn't want to win MVPs because it means I'm in too many shootouts. I should be running the ball the last 9 minutes of the game. I should be throwing about 29, these days, 33 times a game, running the football late. So the award, the MVP, I wouldn't want it. It would tell me my defense isn't as good as it should be. Joy of the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line.
By the way, Patrick stars, and to a large degree, Lamar Jackson. What all three have in common? They didn't go to traditional football powers. Louisville's not, it's a basketball power more than a football power, meaning they threw to 2- and 3-star wide receivers. They didn't have NFL guys all in front of them. They had to often run for their life and make stuff happen. Well, that's the NFL when you go to often a bad team in the top 10 picks.
Like where Trevor Lawrence may go?
Right. That's it's harder for him. He's going to go from never getting hit to getting hit 9 times and sacked 4 times a game.
Well, he's expected to be the first overall pick in the draft next year, which means he'll probably be a New York Jet. And he told Dan Patrick that he is ready to embrace the challenge of playing for a team that's not very good.
I know some of this stuff I say sounds cliche, but just to have the opportunity to go somewhere, help someone rebuild if that's what it is, or whatever, and just win. That's what, something I love doing. I think that's what I'm best at is winning, regardless of stats, whatever it is, that's what I love. So just to have that chance, obviously some places it'll be more of a challenge than others, but I think I'm up for it. And that'll get here when it's here, just trying to focus now on being great where I'm at.
He also said he doesn't want to completely shut any door when he was asked if he's 100% leaving Clemson. I don't anticipate that he is going to stay. Clemson would be a very poor decision.
Trevor, just go to college. I mean, Joe Burrow was having a great year at Cincinnati. I know he got hurt, but just go to pros. Don't stay in college. Just a huge Andrew Luck.
It's a massive risk, and for what?
He is probably. I told you I saw him at a camp in San Diego 3 years ago. He was a high school senior, and he was the most impressive thrower of the football I've ever seen in high school. It was in San Diego at Steve Clark's camp.
Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence. And he was a Southern kid with this rock star hair. And they had all these kids from California.
Sunshine.
Yeah. And he was throwing the football, and it was remarkable for a high school player. He was so effortlessly great. And I remember telling the guy that ran the camp, I'm like, he's not the highest rated one. He's like, he's the best one.
When you look at the Jet situation, it's really not, obviously they're terrible.
Cap space.
They have cap space.
Ton of picks.
They have a ton of picks. They're going to get a new coach. It's not the worst situation to go to.
No, it's not. Jags is way worse.
And guess what? Next year, the team that's picking atop the draft, if you stay in college another year, they're going to be bad too. Because that's what happens.
Also,
that's how you get to the top of the draft.
You're going to have a larger field of top candidates be interested because of Trevor Lawrence's talent. So you're going to get some guys who wouldn't take the job with a Sam Darnold will take it now and apply for it. Big-time college guys.
I'm very excited to see what he does in the NFL. And I'm excited for this draft also.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, I can't.
This year's draft was one of the most, obviously it was extremely memorable because of everything that was going on. But on top of it being the only live thing that we had to watch, it really ended up being a great draft.
Okay, so let's go right. Here's the draft order for our radio audience. You can't see this, but Jets would take Trevor Lawrence. Jags would take the Ohio State quarterback, Justin Fields. Bengals probably take the Oregon left tackle, Penei Sewell, and move Jonah Williams left tackle over to right to protect Burrow. It's not terrible. Chargers would love that left tackle. Chargers probably have to go. The kid from Penn State, the linebacker, Derwin James is hurt too much. They need a leader defensively in the middle of that defense. And the Cowboys probably get an anchor defensively up front.
The Cowboys and the Bengals are the most interesting in the top 5 to me because if the Cowboys don't take a quarterback, they need a lot of players.
Yeah.
So they could move, and the Bengals could move as well.
Panthers probably take a quarterback, and a perfect situation, the mature Teddy Bridgewater for a year or two is your mentor. That's very Alex Smith and Mahomes. So
they went all defenses this past
last year. So this year they probably get a quarterback and just say, sit behind a pro, Teddy Bridgewater for 2 years. That Matt Rule situation is going to work.
Yeah.
Carolina's on their way to being really interesting in about 2 years.
So the Steelers have lost back-to-back games and don't look like the same team that started by winning the season, winning 11 straight. But Roethlisberger doesn't want anyone to panic about the way the offense has been playing recently.
There's a lot of outside noise, right? And deservedly so. We haven't played well. We've lost 2 in a row. The fans are getting anxious. The talking heads are doing what they're supposed to do and talk bad about us and all that stuff, which is, we've earned it and deserved it recently. what I would tell guys and the mindset and the approach that I'm taking is it's not the end of the world. We've got 3 games left in the regular season. We have 3 weeks now to get it going, to turn it around, to give ourselves the best chance to reach our ultimate goal, which is winning a Super Bowl.
I love being a talking head. Don't you love being a talking head?
I do.
It makes me so happy.
I'm just a head that's talking.
I love being a talking head. Well, the last 3 weeks of the season look like this for the Steelers. They have the Bengals this week on Monday night, which obviously we all assume
That's
they're
a
going to
Monday
win.
night game?
Yeah.
What a cruddy Monday night game that is.
Then the Colts and Steelers, which could go either way.
Colts and Browns, you mean?
No, Colts it's Steelers, Bengals,
Colts.
and Colts, Steelers.
Yeah.
And then Steelers, Browns is week 17.
I think Cleveland today is better than Pittsburgh. I really do. I
They're
really
certainly
do.
playing better than
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
I
I
would-
think if they play today, the Steelers win. But like if they played this week, I think the Steelers would win.
I do not.
Well, here's the issue with the Steelers. Well, there's multiple issues with this. There's lots of issues with the Steelers. They had big time injuries: Devin Bush, Bud Dupree.
Huge.
They can't